Hi guys, this is Glow by Jenny. Please watch me glam the skin. First of all, I start by wiping up her face. I wipe her face properly. Then next, I spray her face off camera. Then next, I go in with my moisturizer. I try to moisturize her face properly. I also moisturize under her eyes and make sure it goes overly on her face. Then allow it to dry properly. Then next, I go in with her primer on her T-zones. Then next, I go in with her foundation. Then when it comes to foundation, you have to use your damp beauty sponge to blend properly on the face. You try to blend properly. Next, I sprayed her face before my cream contour beneath her cheekbone, then before her hairline, and I tried to blend properly. Then next, I go with her blush on her cheekbone. It serves like a dot also on her nose. Then I try to blend properly with my beauty sponge. Then next, my concealer. You see me highlighting. These areas are also known as the highlighted areas. Like I try to highlight the highlighted area and blend properly. And make sure that it doesn't crease, because too much of blending can also cause those areas to crease. So when you're blending, you try to blend properly to avoid crease. Next, I go in with her nose contour and try to blend properly. This is also known as the cream contour for the nose. Then next, I'll be going in with her powder. But first of all, I try to set her face very well before I go in with my powder to avoid crease. I use a powder that is a shade or 2 shades lighter than her skin to use on the highlighted areas. So guys, as I've always said, some persons might not have your setting powder. So in a situation where you don't have the setting powder that is your client's skin color or your model's skin color, then you use a powder that is 2 shades or a shade lighter than her skin to do the setting. Then you cannot set later to avoid falls with maybe a lighter setting powder. Next, I go in with her skin powder for her face. I apply this overly on her face and make sure it's blended properly. Then next, I'll be going in with her contour beneath her cheekbone. The contour is usually a shade or 2 shades darker than her skin. I use the same places I placed my cream contour. That's beneath her cheekbone, before her hairline, and under her jaw. That's the same places you will apply this and apply it properly. And make sure you blend, because makeup has to do with a lot of blending. You have to blend properly in order to achieve that flawless look. Then next, I'll be going in with her blush. I use Who Is That Girl blush. This is her powder blush. Then I apply on top of her cheekbone. That's where the blush should be applied. So guys, I'll be listing the names of the products I use in case if you want to see them. Then next, I go in with her powder contour for her nose and make sure it's blended properly. Then next, I spray her face. Next, I go in with her setting powder. I'm using the Nuban setting powder, the lighter shade. I set under the eyes to avoid falls and every other area that I highlighted. I try to set beside her nose. And also beneath her contour. Then I apply my concealer as a base for my eyeshadow. And make sure it's blended properly. Then next I go in with my eyeshadow. I go in with my transitional color first and blend properly. Then next, I try to blend out this color so that it will be when blended on the skin with another color. So after blending properly, then I have to blend in my concealer on the base again before I can apply the eyeshadow I'll be needing. But first of all, I have to make sure that these eyeshadows I applied are popping and they are coming out. So I have to go back again and apply them very well. Then see me setting my base. See me setting my base for the main eyeshadow I want to use. Then after setting properly, I go in with my glue so that this eyeshadow can pop in very well. Then I apply the eyeshadow. So guys, after applying this eyeshadow, I'll be making use of pigments to make this eyeshadow pop and also give me the reflection of the look I want. So after applying this, I make sure I go in with my blending. I make sure I blend in properly. So guys, as I've always said, that blending has a lot to go in with eyeshadow looks. So, and all that, everything about makeup has to do with blending. I go in again with my glitter glue. Then I go in with my pigment. So guys, if you watch, I tried using my hand. It seems it wasn't popping enough the way I wanted. Then I go in with my brush to make sure I get that poppy look I needed. So after applying my glitters, I try to blend to avoid harsh lines. And I also reapply those eyeshadow that I felt wasn't coming out to make sure that I get this flawless look I'm looking for and I achieve it. So next I go in with my Cara gel liner, the dark shade, to line her eyes and also her water eyes. So I also line her water eyes too. Then next I applied my mascara. I did my glue and everything on my lashes. Then I dropped on my lashes. Then I applied it. Apply it on top of the eyes and make sure I press. So guys, if you notice that after this makeup, the lashes was no longer there because my client was already carrying a lash, so she just wanted something poppy, and then she said we should reapply another lash on top of it. So she found out that after applying it, it was looking too much on her face, so she asked I remove it. Then we go in with her own lashes, you get. So I go in with drawing her brows. First of all, when I'm drawing my brows, I go in with making the downside fuller and then the top side look natural. So that's actually what I'm trying to achieve. So after drawing the brows, I try to make the front side look very natural. Then next I go in with her concealer, a shade or two shades lighter than her skin. I make sure I apply it well. Then I go in with blending the concealer. Then I blend it very well. I blended it both sides. Then after blending very well, I go in with her powder to set. This should be a powder, maybe a shade or two shades lighter than her skin. Then next I go in with highlighting her top brows with her actual shade of her skin. I did this to both sides. Then next I go in with blending. Then next I go in with lining her lips. So after lining her lips, I go in with the actual color I'll be using for her lips. But if you notice, I blended before I go in with the actual color for her lips. Then I allow her to map so it could blend very well. Then next I go in with her lip gloss. To give it that flawless finishing. But before I apply the lip gloss, I make sure that everything is well blended. Then I apply the lip gloss. And I allow her to map so that it can blend very well. So next I go in with her actual skin shade to powder her face. Then after making sure I powder her face properly, I go in with her powder contour again. Then next I'll be going in with her blush on top of her cheekbone. That is a powder blush. So guys, if you watch this, you'll find out that this makeup is actually turning out nice already. So please follow my page, like. So next thing, I go in with her nose contour. So I try to blend properly. Then I try to set below her eyes. And I try to blend properly with my powder. So next I'll be using her powder brush to blend everything. Then I found that my blush wasn't poppy enough. I went in with my blush again. If you can watch her, she's already happy. So guys, when you're done with your makeup and you feel like anything's not coming out, just redo it. Then next I spray it and I dry. Then I go in with my highlight on top of her cheekbone, below her eye, brow, between her nose. Then I spray. And you find out that the hairstylist loosed her hair and tried to comb it. Then this is the finishing look.